All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Geek Rewatch podcast, the most inclusive and accessible nerd culture audio program on the interwebs. I am your host, David, and joined with me, as per usual, is my wonderful and beautiful wife, Lindsay. How are you, Lindsay?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty good, yeah. I'm excited to be getting back on track.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. It's been a hot minute since we've had a new episode. I've been trying to re-release older, but still applicable episodes for this time of year for the interim because, we've been crazy busy just with random stuff. We started homeschooling our kids, and
yes,
that's been an adjustment. And the Etsy shop that we are running is only getting busier and busier, and we have a convention that we're preparing for in a month. So yeah, it's been nutso. So that is why we have been absent. We apologize, but we are back. Hopefully, we can get back on track and, get on a weekly basis again. So so today we are continuing with the Marvelous Adventure, where we are rewatching all of the Marvel movies in timeline order, the MCU timeline order. And we have two big ones, very, very big movies today. They are, they're not both origin stories, but they're both like the first solo outing for each character. I mean, Black Widow was supposed to happen in 2004, but I don't know if it was that early. I mean, it was supposed to be like around Iron Man, basically, but that didn't happen. And then, Black Panther, this is his, his or kind of sort of origin story. So, and these were both big movies in the theaters. We'll get into that when we get into their each respective movies. So, yeah,
I'm excited.
Cool. All right, let's dive into Black Widow. So this movie did eventually come out in theaters when it was safe to come out of our homes during the pandemic, or I guess close to the ass end of the pandemic. We finally reached a point where businesses and theaters and large companies felt safe to open their doors. And I think this movie got pushed back a total of like 4 or 5 times. It was pretty ridiculous. Like, it was supposed to come out in the fall of like 2020, I think. And then it got pushed 2 or 3 more times and it ended up coming out last July, I believe, right? So
yeah,
a little
like that.
Over a year ago it was released. But we did finally get it, and super late is better than never. So that's good.
Yeah, the timing of when this came out was very inconvenient for many reasons. Like, first off, because of where it goes in timeline order, it really should have came out after Civil War.
Right.
Like, it would have made everyone so excited about this movie if it would have came out then, rather than after Infinity War and
I really would have
Endgame and
I really would have liked to see this movie come out post Civil War, like that. Like, it would have reeled things back in quite a bit in terms of like the epic scale of everything. And because that's one of the things that Black Widow does so well. I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but like, for the sake of, gushing over this movie a little bit. That's one of the things that I really love about it, is that it, it's just so self-contained, and,
it really defines the problem with Civil War. And, it makes it easy to see how they could fix their problems.
What do you mean?
Well, Natasha made up with her kind of original family by going up against a common enemy.
Oh, sure. Okay. I see what
So then, you fix the Avengers by finding a common enemy and
you're saying. Right.
ta-da!
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. That's a great point. But yeah, so I guess backtracking just a tiny bit, what were your general thoughts and feelings when we first saw this movie? I know you and I went to go see it together, and we were both pretty high on it coming out. Just curious if anything has changed, or if things are still pretty much the same, if you've found any issues or problems with it since rewatching it a couple times.
Yeah, I really liked it, but again, just when it came out, because now when you watch it, it just makes you really sad because
that is
no more Black Widow.
Yeah, that is.
So like if it would have came out after Civil War, it would have just like made you like really excited and get pumped up for, future Avengers movies and yay, Black Widow, you're pretty awesome. But now it's just like she's gone. And then she's sued, so Disney's not gonna bring her back ever, probably.
I don't know, never say never. Fences have been mended before, so you never know. I was gonna ask, oh shit, I had the thought and then I lost it. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I can definitely relate to that. It definitely is a big sad when this all wraps up, because it's like, well, there's no Black Widow. I mean, it was like I said earlier, it was, better late than never. It was nice to get a solo film for Black Widow.
Yeah, and
just period. But
like looking back on it, you really didn't get a lot of her origin story, which is kind of what we were promised. I mean, we got her growing up in America with her pseudo Russian family,
right?
But you didn't get like her Red Room days.
Yeah.
Like I really wanted to know like if Bucky was involved in her training at all, if like Hydra was super involved in that or not, because depending on which comic first you read, it it's all different. And so I really wanted to know what the MCU's take on that was, and
well,
it's kind of alluded to a little bit, but you don't really get a final answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good point. I too was hoping for a little bit more like Red Room backstory, or like those, like the Jesus years, like, the part that is cut out that you don't know what the hell. And then, what's his name? Who wrote Lamb? He took the liberty of filling in all the blanks for us.
Oh yeah. Christopher Moore.
Yeah. But I was going to say maybe the Thunderbolts will fill in some gaps for us, because we have two heavy hitters from this film showing up in Thunderbolts, right? Or no, three. I'm sorry. We have Yelena. We have
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian. His Christian name escapes me at the moment. Hopper from Stranger Things. And then we have Taskmaster.
Yeah.
I forget her actual character's name too. But she's the daughter of
Dreykov.
Yeah. The disgusting dude with the pheromone blocker.
Yeah.
What a weirdo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited that the Thunderbolts is actually going to be a thing. I know you and I have discussed it on the podcast recently that like I was bummed that someone made the Thunderbolts title card when a bunch of shows were announced, like I don't know, maybe a year 9 months ago, somewhere like that. And then one of my friends was like, hey, bro, like, I think that's a fan-made thing. Like, that's not actually happening. And I was like, what the fuck? And then it was confirmed at D23 a week or so ago. So, yes, I'm super stoked that that's happening. So we'll get more of them. We'll get more Bucky. Let's see. Who else is part of the team? Oh,
Echo, right?
Yes, Echo. Semi-evil Steve Rogers. What's his name?
John Walker?
John Walker, yeah.
What's his name? American Patriot or something? Or
yeah, something like that. I can't remember, but so yeah, that'll be something to look forward to. But yeah, I think overall I really enjoy this movie, and I like how, like I said, how self-contained it is, and how it doesn't need to focus on like outside elements. Like I think I was reading in the trivia that they specifically wrote the script to not really involve anyone else, to emphasize how like isolated Natasha wanted to make herself during this time period. And it wasn't really about the other Avengers or other, superhero friends that she had or made along the way. It was more about her going to reconnect with her former family. So
yeah, that is one thing that I will say that I obviously enjoyed was Yelena.
Mm-hmm.
She obviously was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Yelena's vest for a second, just because I think it cracks me up every time. Like when they're driving in the car and she's talking about her vest, like, and how it was the first thing she bought herself, and it's like this fun combination of like it's a gift to herself, but also is super practical for everything that she does. And she even has that line like, has so many pockets, you can hide so many stuff in there you wouldn't even know. And I don't know, it's just adorable the way that she talks about her vest. And she's also wearing a vest in the promo that they illustrated for the Thunderbolts. So and it's possible that it's Natasha's.
Well, the one that she gave Natasha, so she kind of stole her own vest back, possibly.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, I was just curious. Is that a part of the movie that you
I mean, I found it humorous, and I think it was trying to humanize them a little bit and put a little humor in this movie that compared to some of the other movies, this movie had less of. It was a lot of action.
Yeah, this movie did have quite a bit of action. It kind of it did a really good job of balancing action scenes and downtime, especially when it came to like when they finally rescued Red Guardian and they're reconnecting. I love the part where they crash land the helicopter because they run out of fuel. And he's like having this fatherly moment, but it's all like brutal talk. He's like, you two must have so much red in your ledgers. I am so proud of you. You have killed so many people. I just found it like really funny. And just some levity, like you said, to kind of like all that action and killing and whatnot. So
right,
I appreciated that. But yeah, what did you think of the I guess twist or whatever when Natasha and
Yelena,
what was it? Her? I thought it was her and the mom. They switch.
So I'm a little I don't know about the mom character. Like, I wonder if they're going to use her anymore, because they've like cleared her name pretty well of like all the crimes that she's committed with like all these experiments she did on all the people. And so I'm wondering if they're going to use her anymore, because she seems like a really not good character.
You mean like not well thought out?
No,
just...
I mean like...
Oh, like morally?
Yes.
Okay.
So she seems really evil because of all the experiments and things she did. And like they pretty much just cleared all of her ledger by, you know, blowing up everything. So like she's no longer going to be charged with like any crimes or anything.
Right.
And so I just wonder if they're going to use her again anywhere else, because...
Yeah, maybe she makes an appearance in the Thunderbolts.
It could be. I mean, I don't know. I just found it very odd how Red Guardian, he kind of gets a little bit of a revival, I guess, in that at least he's trying to protect his daughters.
Right.
And he's, really helping them out. And he really doesn't have any real obligation to do so. But the mom has a lot of motivation to clear out this whole widow program, because she had a lot to do with that and could probably be charged with a lot of crimes. And I don't know if she's associated with like KGB or Hydra or what.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she'll go on to like kind of quote unquote run the widows, like the widow program, like maybe revamp it and make it for good.
Could be. I mean, I don't
quote
know.
Unquote good or better than what they were doing with it. So
she just seems to have a real fascination with mind control. And those pigs really like freaked me out. Like,
oh yeah.
That's really weird. Like being able to like have someone just kill themselves, that's freaky. And she came up with all that technology. Right. So
yeah, I'm wondering if that's just like part of being a experimental scientist, where you just you either train yourself or it's part of your makeup, part of your DNA to be a more analytical and cold person, like someone that doesn't dwell on warm fuzzy feelings. I don't know.
I could just be she's Russian. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. It's
no offense to any Russians out there.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. You never know, but it would be cool to see Rachel Weisz show up again as the mom character once again, doing a terrible job of writing down all the characters' names. I should know the character's name even off the top of my head, but I don't, because I'm the worst.
So the other thing that this movie really did was make everyone excited for Hawkeye.
Yeah, that was good job bringing up the post-credit scene.
Was I not supposed to?
No, I that's why I said good job. I wasn't being facetious. I was just because I was about to move on without mentioning it. But yeah, it was a great lead up to Hawkeye, because Hawkeye came out pretty soon after.
Right.
Because this came out in the summer, and then Hawkeye came out
in the fall.
Yeah, like Christmas time. So. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and that made me happy because, Hawkeye and Black Widow are my favorites. Yeah. So that made me excited. And the fact that they're sending Yelena after Clint, kind of tied in the Hawkeye series, which I really liked.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see. Not to drone on too much about the Thunderbolt series. Like I said, I'm excited for it, but I'm interested to see what they do with Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character. because she has some interesting and I guess downright suspect motives, because I mean, while she was not technically incorrect about who was responsible for Natasha's death, it's it's a gray area, and so she obviously is not shy about manipulating people that she's business partners with to get them to do her bidding. Or maybe she had a grand plan of like, yeah, I know she's not going to be able to kill him, and I don't know. So I'm interested to see exactly how she's obviously not as of right now, not the muscle. She's like the mind and the checkbook basically. So I'm curious to see how all that plays out with her character. So, but yeah, do we have any more about this movie?
No, not really. No, I'm good with that.
Yeah. I give this movie 4 out of 5 stars. I'd say. What do you give Black Widow?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, about maybe 4, maybe 3.5. Really, it would have been a great movie if it would have been released when it was supposed to have been released.
Yeah.
The timeline and when it came out really put a damper on it, I think.
Yeah.
The only saving grace was that cutscene at the end.
Mm.
Making connecting it back to the Hawkeye series coming out.
Right. Do you think that they ended up going forward with a Black Widow movie because they ended up killing off Natasha?
I don't know.
I know you watch a lot of like YouTube videos like Screen Rant and what's the other, Screen Junkies or whatever, and
New Rockstars,
yeah, and they are heavily involved in the lore of both the movies and the comic books, and so I wasn't sure if you came across some.
I'm sure there are theories out there, but I really just think it was she's the only female character of the original Avengers. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to give her a solo movie.
Right.
I think that was their motivation. I think it had been in the works for a long time and delays happened. And so the release was just not ideal.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, Black Panther. So like I said, this one was also a big release. Pretty much the very first, aside from Blade. Well, we'll say like the MCU. It was the first Black-led cast of a Marvel movie in the MCU. And it was a huge deal. And next to Infinity War, Endgame, and Spider-Man No Way Home, this is probably one of my favorite and most fun theater experiences for all the Marvel movies. Just because I'm pretty sure we went on opening weekend, or at least
we
close
usually
to
try
it.
to, yeah.
Yeah. And so the theater was packed, and I was just excited because like at that time I was still trying to wrap my head around like this upcoming expression of like representation matters. And as a white dude, it doesn't really click for me. And I'm also an idiot. So like just experiencing the whole thing, I was like, oh, this is what it means. And I just thought it was super cool and a lot of fun to kind of experience it that way for, all these little kids, people of color enjoying this, this Black-led cast. It was...
Yeah, well, a lot of people were talking about how excited they were to see black people played as something other than like drug dealers
Yeah.
and like gang members and stuff. And not only that, but in this movie, they were the heroes. They were the smartest in the room. They had the best technology.
Yep.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I was very excited. I think having a diversified cast in anything, I think is cool, and I think it's important.
For
and, I'm all for, like, hey, you want to turn Thor into a female character? I'm good with it. You want to, make a character who was formerly white into a black character? I'm okay with it, because I think everybody should be able to see themselves in like these characters and these heroes, and I think that's the fun of it. So
yeah, for sure. Did you see that video compilation of all the little black kids and brown kids reacting to the first teaser trailer for The Little Mermaid?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty adorable. I'll be honest, I'm not super excited about it, but it's not for any terrible, QAnon white dude, thrusting his fist in the air angrily kind of reason. It is that Disney has a terrible track record so far with live action reimaginings of classic animated films.
Yeah, a lot of them have not
been great.
Yeah, done that well. But yeah, I'm excited though. I mean, I don't care if the Little Mermaid is a little black girl.
Right.
I mean, she's a fucking mermaid.
Exactly. So
she can be purple for all I care.
Right. But like I said, my issue is that they're just trying to remake Disney movies that were formerly animated, and it's just I don't know, but we'll see. The movie hasn't even come out yet, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
So what are your thoughts on Black Panther overall?
I thought it was really fun. I thought it was awesome. I loved Shuri.
Me too.
I think she's an awesome Disney princess, and I think that she should be a Disney princess.
She pretty much is.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't send my daughter out trick-or-treating in a Shuri costume, but if my daughter wanted to dress up as Shuri because she's so awesome, I would definitely let her.
Yeah, for sure.
They brought a lot of really great characters into the front.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about this movie is the villain, or I guess really antagonist is the best way to put it. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. His story is just so tragic that it's what saves it from being just this dick from trying to come in and usurp the role of Black Panther. It's not as clear cut black and white as that. He feels that the title was unjustly stolen from him, and that he deserved his opportunity to fight the king for the title as king. So, yeah. And did you say you went back and watched the rest of the What If episodes, or no? Okay, because you get a little bit more of Killmonger's backstory and just his character in general as that What If, where he quote unquote helps Tony and then ends up fucking him over.
Right.
So I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Like, I'd love to see like Killmonger like as a good guy, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. He fucking killed it as this character. Like, he is such a good Black Panther and King of Wakanda. Like, he has the perfect manner and mannerisms and disposition of a king. Like the guy that might not necessarily strive to be the king or want to be the king, but he's the one that he's like the people's king, you know?
Yeah. Well, say what you want about Marvel and or Disney, but you can't say that they've done a bad job at casting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've done a great job thus far, for the most part. I loved him in this, and you know, it's so sad that we lost him, and it always breaks my heart when, you know, actors and personalities and really anyone, you know, comedians, etc., they have cancer or, you know, some sort of terminal illness, and they hide it from, you know, everyone, maybe except family, and you know, they could have said something, you know, made it public, but they chose to sit on it, and I don't know. I think there's something to be said about that. He just seemed like a real stand-up guy, and I'm sure that whatever they do for Black Panther 2, what's the official title? Do you remember?
Wakanda Forever?
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure whatever they end up doing with that is going to be amazing. So,
yeah, I've heard some rumors about what they're going to do.
Yeah.
One that they might try to bring M'Baku back from the dead.
M'Baku, did he die?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
The one with the gorilla mask.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when did he die?
I don't know, David.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he got dusted, and like, he came back in Endgame.
Okay.
Are you maybe thinking of someone else?
Maybe. No. And then the other replacement for the Black Panther would be possibly Shuri, which I'm kind of hoping for, just because, you know, girl power and all of that, and plus she's very smart and athletic and awesome. But
I also think she would be in a badass Ironheart.
Yeah, but don't they already have somebody else lined up to be Ironheart?
Probably.
I've heard Ironheart is going to make an appearance in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
So.
Well, that would be cool and exciting. I need to get back to comic book reading. I got so distracted, and you know, just life has been kicking our ass. So
yeah,
there's little to no time in the day. I found some interesting trivia. I looked at the trivia for both movies, and the trivia for Black Widow was a little underwhelming. I couldn't really find anything that stood out. One thing that was kind of cool, they designed a tattoo for the Red Guardian with 2 roses and 2 Russian names underneath that were supposed to be Yelena and Natasha. I thought that was kind of a cool detail.
Interesting.
Yeah. So trivia for Black Panther, just a couple things. The first issue of Black Panther actually preceded the real life Black Panther movement in the 60s by like several months. I want to, or it might have been like a year or 2 even. But it definitely preceded that movement, so it was pure coincidence with the naming. So when the Black Panther movement became like an official movement, and they gave themselves a title, the writers at Marvel temporarily switched it to the Black Leopard. Yeah, the Black Leopard. But both them and the readers fucking hated it. Like, like they were like, this is stupid. And so they just changed it back, and they're like, whatever confusion or repercussions that we got to deal with, we'll just deal with it. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Of course the Tolkien white guys, that was kind of a meme for a little bit after this movie came out. They'd talk about or they'd interview Andy Serkis and Martin Freeman, asking them like, hey, what was it like being basically the only two white guys on an all black movie? And they were like, it was fun. They're like, we imagine it was kind of like what most movies are like for black people, where they are like the only black person in an all white cast. And they're like, you just get used to it. And we just called ourselves the Tolkien white guys because we were in, Tolkien movies. We were in Lord of the Rings. And, Martin Freeman, he was in The Hobbit. But, Andy Serkis came back to play Gollum. So, yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. The remote pilot system for their jets was voiced by Trevor Noah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that, being a Daily Show fan.
Yeah. I'm not a Daily Show fan. I just like Trevor.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, I think he's a pretty intelligent guy. I think he does a pretty good job of looking at things from all sides. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then the last one that I have, Black Panther was the first MCU film to recoup its production costs by opening domestic weekend alone.
Wow.
So just U.S., the opening weekends, they made all their money back from production. I thought that was pretty fucking impressive. I'm sure that Infinity War and Endgame went on to do the same, or
I don't know, because I would think that their cost would be
that's
substantially higher because of just the casting alone.
Yeah. Yeah, just the casting alone, it's fucking nuts. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool tidbit that they made their money back so quickly. And, it's at the same time, it's not really a shocker because, like I said, the theaters were packed. And
yeah, and it was really good.
I liked the thread with M'Baku. How he was the only one to challenge him, when they stripped away his Black Panther powers and waited for challengers, and then they have to later on in the movie, when he gets defeated by Killmonger and he's presumed dead, they go to him hat in hands like, please help us, we have a not so great dude in the king's chair, and this could very well affect your lives. And while they could have just said fuck off, they they were the bigger men and decided to help out. So
yes,
I thought that was a really cool moment. And then they come to their aid in the big fight at the very end. So
yes.
And that's where we get to see all the ladies kicking ass. Shuri with her like flying discs, and the Dora Milaje kicking ass with their fucking spears. God damn, they're so fun to watch. I was super stoked when they showed up in the
Captain and
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That moment where Bucky's like, you're doing great, John. I forget exactly what he says, but yeah, that moment, they're just like handing his ass to him. They're like, you don't want to involve yourself. And Bucky knew more than most. But yeah, this entire cast and every element of this movie is amazing. Especially the one take scene in the casino, when they go to attempt to apprehend Ulysses Claw, and then Okoye complaining about her fucking wig. That was also great. She just ends up like throwing it in some dude's face. But yeah, that was great. And then the preceding car chase, that was really cool. But yeah, this movie is so good, and I'm very excited for Wakanda Forever. And
Yeah,
to see
they
what
have
they do
big
with that.
shoes to fill, so
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
yeah, I'm sure whatever they end up doing will be great, and pay appropriate homage to
Chadwick.
yeah to the king.
Yeah.
So, all right. Do we have any final thoughts on this movie or Black Widow?
No, not really. Except I would probably give this one the full 5 stars.
You think so? Yeah, I'd probably, with my ranking system, a movie has to be fucking perfect to get 5 stars. I'd probably give this like 4.5 stars. So
What are the slights?
on probably the CG. I understand that.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother a lot of people, most moviegoers, but me being a little bit of a cinephile and a snob for green and blue screen work. I understand that it's difficult and very, very expensive to, the scene in particular that comes to mind is the scene in the beginning when with the big rock formation and they ask if anyone will challenge the king. All of those people on the upper levels of that rock formation, that was all CG. Even the rock formation, I'm sure, was computer generated. And it when a lot of that is used, it takes me out of the movie just a little bit. I'm still able to enjoy it plenty, but it takes me out just a little bit. And so I tend to be, I try and be understanding, because if they wanted to have all of that real, they would have to scout locations, they would have to hire all those extras and background actors. They would just the craft services alone, having to feed all those background actors and all that.
I'm sure that's like a drop in the bucket for like Marvel. Like feeding people is not like their biggest worry, but like you said, building that and scouting a location to have it, that would not only as an expense but time.
Mm-hmm.
So
right, and that's kind of the way the first outings go for characters, is that the budget is set relatively lower compared to, let's say, like Avengers, but if that first movie does really well, then the sequel will get quickly greenlit and the budget will be exponentially higher. And they'll be able to do more fancy stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, that's probably one little tiny thing where I'm just like, it's not even like bad CG. It's just, I notice it, and with our fancy ass TV, like it points out all the flaws. Where like if we go and see it in the theaters, like it's it's a projection screen, so I think the definition isn't as crisp, so I tend to not notice it as much. But anyways, you want to do our shit that doesn't suck segment?
Shit that doesn't suck.
So, I have, I think I might have said this on our previous episode, whenever that was, but I've been starting my horror movie watching early this season. It's like every night I've kind of been, I dove back into American Horror Story. I watched, I just skipped over Roanoke because too many people were telling me to skip it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll skip it. And then I watched season 7, which was Cult. And that was just scary because it was kind of like real life shit. Like talking about the crazy ass 2016 election and how divided that made everyone. So yeah, it was a little scary. Last night I introduced our son to horror movies via The Curse of Lorna. I can't do the correct Spanish Hispanic pronunciation. So forgive me, but yeah, it's the movie, one of the more recent ones from the Conjuring universe. It was actually pretty scary. And our son held up pretty good. I was actually trying to get him to go to bed. Like I put it on, trying to get him to be like, oh, this is a scary movie, I'm going to go hide. But he ended up sticking around, and he was like, he had the biggest shit-eating grin, like during like the quiet parts where like there's a jump scare coming. And so he quickly adjusted to like the whole jump scare tactic, and he was just like waiting for it. Whenever she'd like jump out, he'd be like, she got me. It was so funny. So yeah.
If you give him nightmares, you're getting up with him. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I figured that would be the case. But anyways, what have you been into? I know you've been watching YouTube and listening to audiobooks and other podcasts and stuff, right?
A little bit. I haven't had time. I've been doing so much homeschooling stuff for the kids, and that's been like my main focus is like trying to keep up with all their stuff. Plus my own classes started back.
Right.
So I've been having to I've been doing audiobooks, but it's all for like school. So not super fun stuff per se.
Well, I guess your shit that doesn't suck is that you will soon be done with your master's program.
Yes, come December I will be done.
I
hope
we'll applause longer and louder when it's actually done.
Yeah, because right now I feel like I'm drowning because we have like 5 assignments due this week, and
it's a lot of assignments.
Yeah, and like this class is just not laid out very well. We've had like one assignment. Now it's like 5 assignments. So when you get used to like just sitting down and knocking out one assignment in a night or whatever, you're like, okay, no big deal. But like I'm gearing myself up to sit down and do quite a few tomorrow. So
yeah, that is true. Well, you're almost done. So
yeah, this is the second to last class.
Yeah.
So.
Also, guess what, folks? We have our D&D stuff coming up soon. It was supposed to be this week, and Winter, our DM, he I don't know if he was feeling under the weather or just lost his voice or what, but he recorded a 12-second clip of himself talking, and yeah, we were like, this would be our first recording. And if we miss the first recording,
there's no point.
Yeah, there's no point in recording the rest of it. So, yeah, we're gonna start. I think in a week or so, we're going to record each session. They're going to run, a little bit longer. Typical D&D session, so like 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours sometimes. So our plan is to, if they do end up running that long, we will break them up into multiple episodes and split them out. So that will keep us flush in content for a little while. And it'll be something great for our listeners, I think, because a lot of our listeners are huge D&D fans.
We're excited to get into the story, and David and I really have very little knowledge of how D&D works, so I'm excited about figuring all of this out, and
same.
I'm like super into it, and I've built my character, and yeah,
it's
gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we built our characters, I think a couple weeks ago, and so when we record for the first time, we're gonna do a quick recap of the characters that we've built and the names we've given them, and their points and whatever. I forget exactly what all we've mapped out, but that's exciting, and I think that's going to do it for this episode. Like I said, I'm glad that we're back, and hopefully we'll be able to start pumping out episodes regularly again. So
no promises.
Yeah, no promises. But yeah, if you've tuned in this long, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast streaming application. Leave us a rating and review. You can do that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube even, I think, or just leave us a comment. And subscribe to our Patreon if you are interested in throwing us some of your hard-earned money so we can do this podcasting thing without dipping into our own pockets. And you get some cool extra content and get to be a part of our private chats and figure out some upcoming episodes. So, that'll do it. As always, be kind, stay geeky, and eat lots of cheesecake. Bye.
Bye.